Inside the main method, I'm going to create the object of the type delegate. Instead of pointing the variables, what I'm going to point here? I'm going to point the method. That's nothing but the address of the method. The delegate name can refer to a method which has the same signature as the delegate. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new unit, and the unit name here is Delegates and Events. I am Revati from the Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. And dear student, in our daily life, we are very familiar with the word delegates, and whatever the word we are familiar with, is it same as C hash delegates? Let's check one by one. Anyway, in my today's session, I'm going to deal with delegates. In that, I'm going to deal with how declaring delegates, what is initializing of delegates, some factor about delegates, as well as what is multicasting, and at the end I'm going to deal with events. So dear student, this is very interesting and very important topic from the examination point of view, and even you can expect one sure question, that is what is delegate, and give some example. So what is delegate here? And we all are familiar with the word delegate. So is it guessed? No. If I consider in our daily life, we are going to come across the word delegate. So delegate in the sense what? It's nothing but the guest, but it is programming language. And here I cannot able to consider guest. So what it is then? Let's see what it is. So delegates are like pointer. So what is pointer? I hope all are studied and all are familiar with this word pointer. So what is pointer, and where we studied this concept pointer? In our C program, we come across the topic called pointer. Then what is pointer? So pointing in the sense what? It is a variable. It holds the address. That means it's a variable which is going to point the address of another variable. So if I consider C hash, delegates are nothing but the pointer. Instead of pointing the variables, what I'm going to point here? I'm going to point the method. That is nothing but the address of the method. So C hash delegates are similar to the, that is pointer to function. If I consider C program, pointer is nothing but the variable. For example, if I write int star ptr equal to, I have int a equal to 10. Okay, and if I write address of A, then this pointer ptr holds the address of A. But here it holds the address of method. See the difference? In C holds the address of variable, but here it holds the address of method. So it is known as delegate. So delegates are nothing but the pointer. A delegate is a reference type variable. Reference in the sense what? If I consider C program, reference in the sense that is nothing but the address. But here reference type is nothing but the object. See the difference? In C hash, reference type is nothing but the classes and objects. So a delegate is a reference type variable that holds the reference in the sense what? Address of the method. That means which method I want to point, that method address is stored in the delegates. The reference can be changed at a runtime. That means during the execution of the program, I can able to change the reference. Delegates are especially used for implementing events and callback methods. So the question arises, why I want delegates and what is the need of delegates? So dear student, we all are familiar with the word events. So event in the sense what? That's nothing but the user action. That's nothing but the triggering of user action. And there are certain time I just want to call the method and again and again. That is callback method to handle the events as well as to handle the callback methods. I'm going to use the delegates. All delegates are implicitly derived from the system.delegate class. Suppose if I want to use delegate and features of delegates in my C# program, then all these are implicitly derived from the class. Which class? That is system.delegate class. And all the functions features are stored in the delegate class. Now dear student, delegate declaration, that means how can I declare the delegates in my program and how to terminate and how I can make use of delegates in my program. See, this is the syntax I have. So what is delegate? That is nothing but the pointer. So it is mainly used to reference the method. So delegate, to create delegate, first what I want to do, I want to use the keyword delegate. And we all are familiar with that C# programming language is case sensitive, and while defining delegate keyword, I want to use small letter. After that, I want to specify the return type and I want to specify the delegate name. So dear student, see here, return type is always my reference type. There are certain time I can able to use fundamental types. And what about delegate name? So dear student, this delegate name is nothing but the user defined delegate name, and this delegate can have the parameters. And to specify the parameters, I have parameter list. So what is the syntax? First, I want to start with the keyword delegate and I want to specify the return type. Along with that, I want to specify the delegate name and the argument list. Here argument list is nothing but the parameter. So the delegate name can refer to a method which has the same signature as the delegate. What is the need of delegate? It's mainly used to refer the method. Now, whatever the delegate I'm going to create and whatever the method I'm going to define in my program, the signature of the method must be equal to the delegate. A delegate can refer to a method which has the same signature as of the delegate. That means whatever the delegate signature I have, that must be same as my method signature. So what is signature here? That's nothing but the method name and parameters. If I consider delegate, delegate name and parameter, those two things are together termed as signature. Now, how to initializing the delegate or how I can able to invoke the delegate. So dear student, public, I want to specify the access specifier. Then I want to start with the keyword delegate and this is my return type and this is my delegate name and this is my parameters. So this is the example how I can able to write delegates or how I can able to create delegates. So what is my first field? That is always access specifier. That means I want to specify what kind of access specifier, either public, either private, default or protected. And I want to start with the delegate keyword because I'm defining delegate. To indicate that, I want to use the keyword delegate. And this int is nothing but the return type, and I'm going to specify what kind of return type I'm going to use, either fundamental data types or user defined data types. And I'm going to specify the delegate name. Along with that, I have the parameters. So the presiding delegates can be used to reference any method. So this delegate is mainly used to refer any method. Now see here, once a delegate type is declared, a delegate object must be created. That means once I'm going to define the type of delegate, then what I want to do, I want to define the object in which I'm going to create the reference. So once a delegate type is created, a delegate object must be created with the new keyword. That means to create delegate object, I'm going to use the keyword new. So print string ps1, this is my delegate name. Okay, what is my delegate name? That is print string. Okay, and I'm going to create the reference, that is write to screen. So what is my reference? That is write to screen. See here, I created. Public is nothing but the access specifier. Delegate is the keyword used to create delegate, and this delegate does not return anything. So what is the return type? It is void. And see, print string is nothing but the delegate name, and string s, that is nothing but the parameter. See here, I'm going to create the delegate object. And what is my delegate object? That is ps1. To create delegate object, I'm going to use the keyword new, and these are the parameters. That means what are the value I want to send to this delegate, I'm going to specify here. And if I consider the second line, same thing. See, ps2 is nothing but the object of the type delegate, and I'm going to pass write to file. So what kind of parameter here? It's of type string, so I'm passing string. See, what's the syntax? First, I want to write the delegate name, and I'm going to write the object name, and I'm going to use the new keyword, and I'm going to specify the delegate name, and I'm going to specify the calling method name. Okay, fine. Now, how I'm going to invoke or how I'm going to object of the type delegate? For that, this is the syntax. So first what I want to do, I want to define the delegate name. Then I want to write the object name. Then I'm going to use the new keyword, and I'm going to use the delegate name, and I'm going to call the method name. Okay, fine. See here, this is the example for this syntax. Now, this is the example program I have to illustrate this is delegate. So, as usual, I'm going to start with the keyword using system, and I'm going to create my own namespace. So dear student, this program is very important, and be sure about this program. See here, what is the program? To illustrate delegate concept. So what I want to do at the beginning itself, I want to create the delegate, and where I'm going to create the delegate? Above my class. See here. Okay, here I'm going to define the delegate. So define the delegate. What I want to do, I want to specify the access specifier. Okay, so what is my access specifier? That is public. I'm going to create the delegate. So delegate is my keyword. Then int is nothing but the return type of my delegate, and my delegate is nothing but my delegate name, and it is capable to hold the two parameters, that is int x and int y. So dear student, as I discussed, the delegate signature must be same as my method signature. Why? Because I want to create the reference. Okay. For what I'm going to create the reference to my method. So what is the method here? Sum. Now this delegate is going to refer this sum. Over. Now the delegate signature must be same as my method signature. See here, if I consider this much, I have integer. Here I have integer. And here I have sum. This is my delegate name, and just check the parameter. Same parameter. Oh, now I'm going to add x and y, and I'm going to return x and y. See here, inside the main method, I'm going to create the object of the type delegate. So what is the delegate name? My delegates and object is D. That is, I'm going to use the keyword new to create the object of the type delegate. And see here, I'm going to pass the method name. What is my method name here? That is sum. And what I'm passing here? It is sum. Now, I want to invoke the delegate. So, d dot invoke. When I call this method invoke, then what's going to happen? The delegate is going to invoke, and when I invoke this one, it is going to pass the value, that is 12 and 15. Okay, now what is this invoke? It is a method, or it is a property which is present under delegate class. So this is built-in property. That means it is predefined property. And I'm going to make use those property in my program to invoke the delegates. So what are the thing I want to remember while creating delegates? First, how to define the delegate. Then how to create the object of the delegate, and how I'm going to invoke the delegate. So what are the three steps I want to remember? That is how to create delegate, how to create the object, and how to invoke the delegate. These three steps are very, very important while creating delegates. Okay, now see here, I'm going to display, that is result. So what is result? That means after adding 12 plus 15, whatever the answer I'm going to get, that is 27, I'm going to display. So this is the way I can able to create the delegate, and I can able to create the reference of the method. So what is delegate? It is nothing but the pointer. That means it holds the reference of the method. Okay, fine. Now let me to tell you the simple example here, that I want to visit some marriage function. Think that I am busy and I am not able to attend the function. So what I am going to do? I am going to inform my parents that you just go and attend the function. Instead of going function, what I'm going to do? I'm going to send my parents. Okay, similarly here also, instead of calling the method directly, what I'm going to do? I'm going to use some indirect approach, that is nothing but delegates. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to create the reference of the method, and I'm going to invoke the delegates. This is the brief idea about delegates. Now, some of the factors that I want to remember and I want to know about delegates. That is, delegates are reference type. Reference in the sense what? It's nothing but the object type. But instead of referencing object, what I'm going to refer? That is nothing but the method. Okay, fine. Now, delegates have no method body. See here, if I consider this example, I created the delegate of the type my delegate. Now tell me, is there any body of the my delegate? No. Now what is the conclusion? Delegate does not have any method body. Delegates are type safe, object oriented and secure. So here delegates are secure and it is object oriented concept, and all the types are checked during the runtime. That is called type safe. A delegate is a function pointer. So what is delegate? It is a function pointer. It holds the address of the method, or I'm going to use the pointer to reference the method. Delegates encapsulates method. A function that is added to delegate must have same return type and same signature as delegate. That means to which method I'm going to create the object, they must have same signature. See here, for the sum, so this is my method. For this I'm going to create the reference. So what is the parameter? I have two parameters. Here also I have two parameters. And what is the return type? It is integer. So integer. So a function that is added to delegate must have same return type and same signature as delegates. Now, there are three type of delegates. That means I can able to create the delegate in three different ways. One is a delegate can be created using delegate keyword. In that, a delegate with no parameter and no return type. That means to create my delegate, I require delegate keyword. And what type of delegate I can able to create? That is first one, a delegate with no parameter. See here, what is my delegate name? Test delegate, but I don't have any parameter. Now, another one, delegates with a parameter but no return type. If I consider this example, I am going to create the delegate of type test delegate, and I am going to have two parameter, and this delegate does not have any return type. Now, if I consider another type, that is delegate with parameter and the return type. So I am going to create the delegate of the type test delegate, and it is responsible for having the object, and it's going to return the object, or it's going to return the data of the type integer. So dear student, these are the three kinds I can able to define delegates. Now let me to discuss multicasting delegate and what is the need of multicasting delegate and when we are going to use multicasting delegate. So what is multicasting delegate here? That is nothing but if I want to create more than two or three methods. That means if I want to create reference for more than two methods, then I'm going to use multicasting delegates. For example, think that I have sum and I have subtraction. These are the two methods I have. For these two methods, I want to create the reference. For that, I'm going to have that is multicasting delegate. So, multicast delegate is an extension of normal delegate. So, normal delegate in the sense what? I'm going to create the reference. So, it is example for pointer. Pointer in the sense what? It is going to hold the address of another variable, but here instead of holding the address, I'm going to hold the address of the method. Okay, instead of holding the address of the variable, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to hold the address of the method, And when I have multiple methods and I want to hold the address of both the method, then I can able to use multicast. In multicasting, delegates can be combined. If I want to create multicasting, or if I want to create the reference, that is multiple reference, then I'm going to use the plus operator or minus operator. That's nothing but plus equal to, in the sense I'm going to adding, or I'm going to create the multicasting. And if I want to remove the method, then I'm going to use minus equal operator. So plus equal operator is used for adding methods to delegates. That means while adding method to delegate, I'm going to use plus and equal. Now to remove the methods from the delegate, I'm going to use minus equal symbol. So delegate object can be composed using plus. So dear student, when I want to create the reference of more than two method, in that I'm going to consider the object. And when I compose the object, I require plus operator. In the sense, I'm going to adding the methods to the element, or I'm going to adding the methods to the delegate. Now, if I want to remove the methods from the delegate, then I'm going to use minus symbol. So only delegates of the same type can be composed. Suppose if I want to consider multicasting and I want to create multicasting, then the same type of method can be combined. That means if think that if I have int sum and here I have float subtract, see here the type of the data is different and I'm not able to club these two methods together. So only delegates of the same class can be composed, and minus symbol is used to remove the component delegates. That means if I want to remove the methods from the delegate, then I'm going to use minus operator. So this is all about multicasting. Multicasting in the sense what? I'm going to create the reference more than two method. So this multicasting plays very important role in event handling as well as in our callback method. Now I'm going to have the another topic called events. So I hope all are familiar with the word events, and every day we are going to come across this event. So what is event here? That is nothing but the user defined action. That means user is going to perform certain action on time. For example, think that I am in railway station and waiting for my friend. At the same time, I hear fire alarm. And what I'm going to do? I'm going to run from that station. That is one scenario. So what's the event here? Triggering fire alarm is one event. And what is the action I'm going to do? I'm going to run. So this is another scenario. Now, at the same time, I hear the announcement that the train is going to reach. So this is second situation. Now what I'm going to do? I'm trying to pick my friend because I want to save my friend. So this is my another scenario. Based on the event, I'm going to take certain action. And if I consider programming language, here also event is nothing but user defined action. So dear student, here also events are nothing but the user defined action. Some actions are going to trigger based on that. That means Here also actions or events are going to trigger, and based on the event, whatever the actions are performed. Now, let me to consider the example here. Think that when you click with the mouse, that means when you click mouse button, what kind of event? That is mouse event. When you press keyboard button, then keyboard event. So, when you press any key in keyboard, that is key press event. When you refresh your web page, when you refresh your web page, then what kind of event? That's nothing but page load. That means I'm going to reload the same page. When you move the mouse cursor, this is mouse hover events. So these are the certain kind of events, and when the events happens, what's going to happen? That is nothing but the user defined action, and there are some event handler, and the job of the event handler is to manage the event. So when you take any action like key press, mouse movement, click or etc., what's going to happen? Event rises. So event rised. Now, let me to consider simple example that you're going to get the online form. You have to fill some online form, and in your online form, you're going to have the fields like name, qualification, address, phone number, date of birth, so and so. And at the end, you're going to have the button, that is submit button and clear button. So when I click the submit button, what's going to happen? Button event is going to trigger. So this is the example for event. Now, what is event and how event works with delegate? That means delegates are mainly used to handle the events, and it's mainly used to perform callback method. So here delegates are mainly used to handle the events. Delegates are used to reference a method, and a event is associated with event handler. When the event is triggered, that is handled by the event handler, and each event is associated with the event handler that can be done by using delegates. When an event rises, that means when the event is triggered, it sends a signal to delegate. Okay, when event is triggered, what's going to happen? It sends the signals to the delegates, and delegates are responsible for executing the right function. So this is the way we can able to use events as well as delegates, and events are mainly used for handling user action, and delegates are mainly used to handle the events. This is all about events. Anyway, an event is created by using event keyword. That means if I want to create an event, then what I want to do in my program, I want to use the keyword event. An event has no return type and it is always void. That means while creating any event, it does not have any return type. By default, it is void. That means I cannot able to specify any return type. And what is the return type of event? That is always void. And all events are based on the delegates. To handle the events properly, we are going to use delegates. The job of the delegate is to handle the events. All the published events must have listening objects, and all events should be defined starting with on keywords. That means whatever the event I'm going to create on mouse click, on. So I'm going to use the keyword on mouse click, on key press. So whatever the event I'm going to define, I must use on keyword. So this is the way I can able to create events in my C# programming. Anyway, dear students, I started with what is delegate, how to create delegate, how to invoke delegate, how to create the object. Along with that, I have discussed multicasting delegate as well as events. But in my next session, I'm going to deal with console class. In that, I'm going to deal with console input, console output, formatted output, standard numeric format, some of the example program along with formatted output for date and time. So these are the certain topic I'm going to discuss in my next session. Anyway, dear students, let's meet in the next session with the new chapter, that is console input and output. Until that, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.